Okay. I started the recording.
Okay.
Okay. So once I repeat this, when you talk about a statement, so what is the need of a statement? Whenever you want to execute some action based on set of requirements, set of conditions, then we require a statement. So a statement can be implemented in different ways. Those are going to be if statement, switch case, conditional, while, and for. So let's go through the first statement called if. Okay. So whenever you want to use any system defined things, you have to follow the standard syntax defined by the system programming language. So as I said, when you want to use if, you have to follow this syntax. What is that? If right conditions or set of conditions. It can be a single condition or set of condition. Opening braces, which is nothing but start of this statement, and closing braces, which is nothing but end of this statement. And within this, you can write any kind of action. Okay. So basically, if condition. So what can be written there? So what has to be validated, right? So as I said, if you want to recruit a guy, you need to validate his details. According to our requirement, he should have good experience on .NET. You should have a minimum of 3 years experience. So that should be part of your conditions. Here you should tell the system what has to be validated. Hey, validate his technology, validate his experience level. If those two suits our requirement, then you'll go and accept it. Otherwise, do not accept it. Right? So whatever needs to be validated, that should be written as a condition. As part of your condition part, you can write n number of conditions, according to your requirement. And then write your action. So your action can be a single statement or group of statements. So based on your requirement, it differs from requirement to requirement. Okay. So let's see how to implement if statement in C#. Let's write a small program to implement your if statement in C#. Please note down that write a program to find even numbers only. Write a program to find even numbers only. Okay, guys, as I said, if you want to become a good developer, a successful developer, you should be really very strong at building the logics for your requirement. As I said, while writing your code, you should always keep three things in your mind. What are those? Complexity, security, and speed. You should reduce the complexity as much as you can, increase the speed as much as you can, and increase the security as much as you can. This is what you should always think about while writing every piece of your code. Okay. Now, how do I write a logic for my requirement? As I said yesterday, it is pretty simple. What is a project, product, or software? That is nothing but automation of something. Automation of a simple requirement is called as a project, product, application, and software. Whatever you are doing manually, if that has to be automated, if that has to be done by the system machine, you need to write a program. For example, in this case, you need to identify an even number, right? So now this process has to be automated. If you want system to identify that, we should tell the system how to do that. When it comes to system, it is a dummy. It doesn't know anything. Each and every instruction has to be provided by the developer. Right? So if you want to automate that process, first you need to know if you need to do it manually, how do you do it? For example, if you need to find out an even number, how do you do it manually? You should always think about manual process. Okay, if you need to find out an even number, how do you do it? First, you have to ask that person to give that number, right? Take that number, then put it on the paper. Then in order to decide whether it is even or odd, what has to be done? Divide that number with 2. When you divide the number, you'll be getting two values, quotient and remainder. Here you need remainder, not quotient. Right? Divide that number with 2. Check its remainder. If remainder is equal to 0, then tell him like, hey, this is an even number. This is a manual process. Now this has to be automated. Here you are doing it manually. But here I want this has to be done by the system automatically. The process of identifying even numbers has to be automated. Now what has to be done? Whatever I am doing here manually, that has to be converted into your program. That's it. What is the first step? Ask user to provide the number. How this can be done in C# using console.read and console.write. Step 2, read that number and store it into some memory location. Here in the manual process, what you are doing, you are writing it on the paper. Your paper is nothing but your memory. But in the system, there is no paper. That has to be stored into some memory location. Ask user to enter that number, read that number, define a variable. Variable is nothing but your memory location. And based on type of data, if the user is going to enter a string, define a string. If the user is going to enter a number, define a number. Only that much amount of memory will be allocated. Read that value, define your variable, and place it into that variable. So once the value is available within memory, now you can play with that. Now what has to be done? Divide that number with 2. In case of division, in case of only division, you will be getting 2 results. What are those? Quotient and remainder. That's why C# has provided 2 operators, right? What are those? Slash and modulus. Slash and modulus. If you're looking for quotient, use slash. If you're looking for remainder, use modulus. In our case, we need a remainder. That's why you have to use modulus operator. Right? Divide that with 2. Then check its remainder. Check its remainder. How do I check it? Without verifying it, I cannot take the decision. I cannot make my decision. Right? Here, you have to make your decision based on set of conditions. Here, what is the condition here? Check its remainder. That is what our condition. So its remainder has to be validated. And based on that validation, you're going to make the decision. Then you will decide whether it is even or not. What is our action? What is our action? Making your decision. That is what your action. Now, how can I decide it? Based on a condition. What is that condition? Remainder has to be validated. Right? So based on this, I need to make a decision. So whenever you need to make a decision based on set of conditions, then we require a if statement. So Lakshman is calling me. Give me a minute. Okay. So let's do this. First, now you have to decide how many memory locations are to be created, right? So in that case, if you want to find out an even or odd, how many numbers are going to be come from the user? User will enter only one number, right? So here we are going to get only one number. So you'd be needing only one number. So you'd be needing only one location, okay? And what should be the type of that location? He is going to enter a number, right? So the number is nothing but an integer. So I'm defining a location with the name integer number. Guys, now you have to drive me. The first step is done. I created my memory location. Now what it will do? It will go to memory, creates a location with a number, and that it allocates that much amount of memory. Now you can start storing the data into that location. Now what has to be done? If you need to decide whether number is even or odd, what has to be done? First, you have to ask the user to enter that number. If it doesn't get that number, how can you decide it? Guys, you have to drive me.
Yeah, we need to write a right line
Very
to
good.
enter
First,
the
ask
first
him
line.
to provide that number. How do you ask him? He is a user, right? So you have to display some message saying that, hey, please enter your number. Whenever you want to display something, you have to use output statement. That should be either right or right line. So console dot right line, please enter a number. Very good. Now this message will be displayed on the screen. So once you see this message, immediately you will enter some number. Now what has to be done? Is entering that number in the console window, right? Now you have to read that number from console window, store it into your memory location that is called number.
Number.
Now tell me, what should I write?
Uh, we need to write a read line.
Correct. So what has to be done? So console dot first read that value from console window. Whenever you want to read, scan something from the console window, you have to use a method called read and read line. When you talk about a reads a single character, right? But read line reads group of characters. User might enter a single digit or more than one digits, right? So that's why use a read line, right? So what it will do, it reads the number entered by the user. Now it is going to return that number in the form of a string. Now what has to be done? This has to be stored into your memory location called number. Number is equal to console dot read line. So first it displays this message. Once he sees this message, he will enter a number. So your console dot read line is going to read that value and returns that value, right? But when you talk about console dot read line, it reads everything from console window, but finally that will be written in the form of a string. It means if the user enters 123, it is going to come something like this 123, right? He has entered number only, but your console dot read lines returns in the form of a string. It will be coming like this. That's why, see, it is showing the error. What it is showing? The left side of variable type is int, but the right side one is going to return a string. So what has to be done? This has to be converted into left side data type. So that's why we have to use conversion functions. What is that?
Convert.
Yes,
Dot
very
2
good.
and
That is class
32.
called convert. What is the type of left one? Int.
To
Int
32.
means int 32.
Into 32. Yeah.
Right? Because the equivalent data type of int is int 32. Done. Yes. We asked the user to enter the number. He has entered his number. We stored it into our location. Done. Now you have to start your operation. Now what has to be done? Now you have to decide whether this is even or not. How do we decide this? You have to make the decision based on set of conditions. What is that condition here? Divide this number with 2. Check its remainder. If remainder is equal to 0, then print it as even, right? So I'm going to declare one more variable called int remainder. Int remainder, right? To store my remainder, I'd be needing one more variable. Now I have to calculate, I have to find out the remainder. So remainder is
equal to
okay.
number.
Divide this number with 2. Number. So here, in case of division, we have 2 operators. One is slash, right? If I say slash number slash 2,
Quotient.
it is going to give me the quotient. But in our case, not quotient. We require a remainder. So if you're looking for a remainder, use modulus symbol. Number mod 2. Now what happens? Here we are dividing this with 2. So this is going to give me a remainder. I'm storing it into this location. Now all I need to do here is, I'll just need to verify this remainder, whether it is 0 or not, right? And based on this validation, I'll have to make my decision, where it has to be displayed as even or odd. So whenever you want to perform any action based on set of conditions, then we require a statement called if. Now, if you want to validate anything, you would use a statement called if. What is that? If check remainder, remainder is equal to 0. Okay, we are validating the remainder. If remainder is equal to 0, yes, if this condition is true, okay, if remainder is equal to 0, starting braces and ending braces. And within this, you can write any kind of action, n number of lines of code. Your action can have a single line or multiple lines of statements. Basically, action can be anything. So as I said, whenever you want to perform any action based on set of condition, there can be a single condition or multiple conditions. Then we require if statement. Okay. Check your condition. If remainder is equal to 0, now what has to be done? We should print it as even. If you want to print something, you would use console. Console.writeLine. Print some message. It is an even number. Right? Any questions, guys?
No, no, sir.
Okay. Okay, let's keep a breakpoint. So if you want to see the live execution process, so what has to be done? Keep a breakpoint. So I'm going to keep a breakpoint here. Now what happens? Once control comes to this line, the execution will be stopped. From here, we can take the control and see the live execution process. Okay, right. Either press F5 or click on this green color button. This is not going up. Okay, I'm just pressing F5. Okay, now it came here. It's no more. Okay. No more. Okay. Now let's see what is there in number 0. Let's just pin this. You can see the live location. What is there in remainder? 0. Because till now it did not enter anything, right? So only empty locations created. So once you define any variable, immediately that location will be created in the memory, and that much amount of memory will be allocated. Now you can see number and remainder. It means it has created two empty locations with the names number and remainder. Now we are going to ask user to enter the number. Press F11. Please enter a number. Let's say 7. See, now number location has got filled with 7 because we read that value from console window, stored it into number. Now what happened? Here you can see 7 got stored into number. Now we are going to calculate remainder. So far remainder is 0. Now we are going to calculate the remainder. See, what is the remainder? 1. Right? So now the remainder is equal to 0. It checks this condition. If the condition is true, then only it will go inside of your block and execute this statement. If the condition is false, this will not be executed at least once. Your action will be executed if and only if the condition is true. Are you with me? Okay, it checks this condition. If the validation is successful, then only go inside of your block and start executing your statements, your action. If the condition is false, it will never go inside of your block. Nothing will be executed. Okay, let's see. What is the remainder? 1. Is remainder is equal to 0? No. Condition is going to be false. So it will not go inside of this. So this statement will not be printed. See. Press F5. What happened? I can't see any message. Let's run it again. Please enter a number 6. It is an even number. Right? So if the condition is true, it will do some action. If it is false, it doesn't do anything. But sometimes, in case of false also, we need to execute one more action. I mean, if this, do this, else do this. You may need to execute another action also based on your requirement. In our case, if remainder is equal to 0, print it as even. Otherwise, print it as odd. Are you getting me? In case of true as well as false, in both the cases, you may need to execute some actions based on some requirements. Right? So in this case, we have to take two decisions. If it is true, if the validation is successful, take one decision. If the validation is not successful, take another decision. Are you getting me? If it is true, do this. Otherwise, do this. Here, otherwise is nothing but else. Else. You'll also have false black. In case of if statement, you can write two blocks, true black as well as false black. If the condition gets satisfied, it will go to true black and execute that corresponding action. Otherwise, it will go to another black, false black, and execute another action. Are you with me? So in our case, if remainder is equal to 0, take this action, print it as even. Otherwise means else. This is called as if-else statement. These are the different forms of if. Earlier we have seen only if. You can write only true black if you want, but we could also write false black. In this case, what it will do? If this is successful, it will take one decision. Otherwise, it will take another decision. This is called if-else statement. Okay, in case of S, if remainder is not equal to 0, it should be printed as what? Odd number. It is an odd number. Okay, let's read this. Please enter a number 7. Now, it will calculate the remainder. What is the remainder? 1. Is 1 is equal to 0? No. Now what it will do? It will go to false black. See, it came to false black because this condition is not validated successful, like it is not true. It is not satisfied. If it is satisfied, it will go to true. Otherwise, it will go to false. Here 1 is not equal to 0. The condition was not satisfied. That's why it came to false black. And whatever is written over there, I just wrote a simple print statement. But when it comes to real-time application, you'll be writing thousands of lines of code. Right? Your action can carry n number of lines of code. It can have a single line of code or multiple lines of code. So based on that differs from requirement to requirement. Basically, if the condition gets satisfied, it will take one decision, it will execute one action, otherwise it will execute another action. Now what happens? It will be printed as odd number. Any questions, guys? It is an odd number. Any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Next, now we know like the use of if statement as well as if else statement. Okay. Next, let's go through another requirement. Here we have a requirement called. There is a requirement. Now we are going to recruit few people for our organization. According to the requirements, the candidate should have experience on .NET. He should have minimum of 3 years experience. Okay, so my manager has, like decided few conditions. Now we have to recruit the candidate based on this set of conditions. According to our requirements, he should have good experience on .NET. He should have minimum of 3 years experience. And third condition is going to be, his expected salary should not be greater than 10 lakhs. It should be less than or equal to 10 lakhs per annum. Sometimes, like the candidate is really good on .NET. He has more than 3 years experience, but he's expecting 30 lakhs. Right? So that's why. So if you are going to recruit any candidate, so you have to recruit that candidate based on these conditions, our requirement. If the profile meets our requirement, go ahead and accept that profile, otherwise reject it. Right? So here, what is our action here? Accept or reject the candidate profile. How do I make the decision based on these conditions? What has to be done? First, I should pick the profile and check first condition. What is that? I need to validate his technology. I should check whether this guy is having experience on .NET or not. First, I should check whether technology is equal to .NET or not. Then I should go for next level of condition, 3 years. Then I need to verify, okay, is a .NET candidate. But what is his experience level? According to our requirement, he should have minimum of 3 years. Though he is a .NET candidate, if he is having 1 year experience, what has to be done? It has to be rejected, because according to our requirement, it should have 3 years experience minimum. Here, if the candidate is not having experience on .NET, then what is the point of verifying his experience level? It's not required, right? Next, if the candidate is not .NET, is not having 3 years experience level, then there is no point of, then there is no use of validating your third condition. If it's not a .NET guy, why should I verify his experience level? That doesn't make any sense. Here, first you have to verify his technology. If he's really a .NET guy, go ahead and verify his experience level. If he's really having 3 years experience, then go ahead and validate his expected salary. Are you with me? If he's not a .NET guy, if he doesn't have 3 years experience, then no need of verifying his expected salary. If he's not a .NET guy, no need of verifying his experience level. Right? Yeah, one condition has to be verified based on another condition. First, you have to check whether technology is equal to .NET or not. If technology is not equal to .NET, then reject it right there. Yes, if he's a .NET guy, then only go ahead and check his experience level. If his experience, though he is a .NET guy, if he doesn't have 3 years experience, reject it. If he's really having 3 or more than 3 years experience, then only go ahead and verify third condition, that is his expected salary. Right? So his profile can be rejected at any level. If he's not a .NET guy, reject it. If he's a .NET guy and he's not having 3 years experience, reject it. He's a .NET guy, he's having 3 years experience, but he's expecting more than 10L, reject it. Right? So his profile will be accepted if and only if all these 3 levels are satisfied. Right? If any one of these 3 is not satisfied, his profile will get rejected. Are you with me? And here one condition is going to be validated based on another condition. Expected salary will be validated if and only if the candidate is having 3 years experience. Experience condition will be validated if and only if the the guy is a .NET resource. Are you with me? Here one condition has to be validated based on another condition. And it is going to be true if and only if all the 3 conditions are satisfied. Otherwise, it will go to false back. So its profile will be accepted if and only if all the 3 conditions are satisfied. Right? So in this case, what has to be done? How do you implement this? First, you have to check first condition. This first condition will have both true black as well as false black. Check if technology is equal to .NET. Write true as well as false black. Yes, if he is .NET, go for next condition. Else, if he's not a .NET guy, reject it. Okay, let us assume that he's a .NET guy. It will go to true black. Inside true black, again you have to verify one more condition. Yes, he's a .NET guy. Next, you have to check his experience. If experience level is greater than or equal to 3, write true, again false. If the condition gets satisfied, yes, it will go to true black, else reject his profile. At second level, if he's really having more than 3 years experience, it will go to true black. Inside true black, again, you need to verify one more condition. What is that? Is expected salary. Again, it will have true and false black. If the expected salary is less than or equal to 10, yes, it will go to true black. Otherwise, you could also reject there. So here, one condition is going to be written based on another condition. In this case, here we are writing if statement inside another if statement. Here one condition has to be validated inside another condition. One condition has to be validated based on another condition. In this case, you may need to write if statement inside another if statement. If statement inside another if statement. The process of writing an if statement inside another if statement is called as nested if. Any questions, guys?
No, sir.
Okay, so let's see how to implement this. I'm just going to remove this. Okay, so what is our requirement? We have to accept or reject candidate profile based on 3 conditions. What are those? Technology, experience level, and expected CTC. Okay, now you have to ask user to enter these 3 details. First, ask him to enter his technology. Okay, then experience level, then expected salary. So his profile can be rejected at any level. His profile should be accepted if and only if all the 3 conditions are satisfied. Are you getting me? Okay. Okay. So let's define 3 variables. The first one is going to be technology. Yeah, technology is not a number, it is a string. You will enter something like Java, .NET, Python, right? So whenever you want to store a string value, what should be my data type? What should be my data type?
Char.
Which one?
Char.
Char holds a single character.
STR. Okay.
It should be string.
STR.
String.
Yeah, string.
Technology. Next, experience level. Okay. It can be like, number, int, float, decimal, anything. I'm just taking it as number. Experience level. Next, expected CTC. ECTC. Right? Yes, I defined 3 variables. Now, what has to be done first? First, you have to ask user to enter his technology. First, verify the technology. Okay. Console.writeLine. Please enter your primary skill. Okay. Now what has to be done? It has to be read and place that into technology variable. So technology is equal to console.readLine. Do I need to convert it explicitly? Like the way we have done in the previous example? No, because console.readLine returns everything in the form of a string. What is the data type of technology? String. So both data types are matched. So no conversion is required. It is going to return a string and the left side type is also string. A string can be easily accommodated to string. That's why no conversion is required. Next, what has to be done? First, you have to validate his technology. Level 1, validation. Level 1, validation. I'm writing a comment. This is just comment. Level 1 validation. At level 1, what has to be done? What has to be validated? Technology. If technology is equal to .NET, right? Then you can push it to next level. So here you can have true black as well as false black. Else, if he's really a .NET guy, then go for next level, right? If the condition is true, if his technology is equal to .NET, then it will go to true black. Otherwise, if he's not a .NET guy, it will go to false black. Here itself, you can reject his profile, console.write line. Sorry, your profile got rejected, right? According to our requirement, the first requirement is technology should be .NET. Thus, we can have both true black as well as false black. If it is true, do something. Otherwise, you can reject here itself. Okay. Let us assume that yes, he is a .NET guy. The condition is true. Okay, if technology is equal to .NET, it will go inside of this. Now here you need to verify level 2 condition. Level 2 validation. What has to be verified? Ask him to enter his experience level. Console dot write line. Please enter your experience level. Right? Now read that experience level from console window and save it into, store it into your experience level variable. So experience level variable is equal to, so what is the type of experience level? Integer. Do we need any conversion here? Guys.
Yes, sir.
Okay, because it is an integer, your console.readline reads and returns everything from a string. So a conversion is required. Convert to dot 2 into 32 of console dot read line. Right? So it reads that number from console window, but returns it in the form of a string. So, but the left side data type is integer. So a string cannot be directly accommodated into integer. That's why we are converting it into respective data type, integer type. Okay. Now we have captured his experience level. Now what has to be done? Validate his experience level. If experience level is greater than or equal to 3 years, because according to our condition, it should be minimum of 3 years. And this can also have both true and false black. Else, right? The profile can be rejected at level 2 also. Let's say he's a .NET guy, but he's having 1 year of experience. Now what happens? This condition will become false. It will go to else black. Here also you can reject his profile. And just copying and this paste. Right? If he's really having more than 3 years experience, then push it to next level. Else, otherwise, here itself you can reject it. So the profile can be rejected at level 1 as well as level 2. Okay. Let us assume that yes, he's having more than 3 years experience. Next, go for level 3 validation. Now ask him to enter his expected CTC. Console.write line. Please enter your expected CTC. Right? So it is an integer. So a conversion is required. ECTC is equal to convert to dot 2 into 32 of console dot read line. Right? Okay. Now verified first level of condition and second level of condition. Now we are going to verify third level of condition. Right? He has entered his expected CTC. Now check is if ECTC is less than or equal to 10 lakhs. Just I'm writing it as 10. Okay. And this will also have true black. Profile can be rejected at this level also. If he is expecting more, can be rejected here also. Right? If the expected CTC is less than or equal to 10, now go ahead and accept it. Console.write line. Congratulations. your profile has been accepted. What is the expected action here? Accepting the profile. Rejection can be done at any level. But the expected action here is accepting profile is called expected action. So this action will be done if and only if all these conditions are satisfied. If any one of these three conditions gets unsatisfied, his profile will get rejected. His profile will be accepted if and only if all these levels are satisfied. And here, first it will verify technology, then verify experience level. This second level will be validated if and only if the first level is satisfied. If this is not satisfied, it will never go to second level. And third level will be verified, will be validated if and only if the second level is satisfied. Here, one level of validation is getting done based on another level of validation. Right? So when you want to validate set of conditions based on other set of conditions, then we require nested if. Here, what we are doing, this is if. Inside if, we are writing another if. Again, inside if, we are writing another if. When you're writing an if statement inside another if statement, that concept is called as nested if. When you need to validate one condition based on other set of conditions, that hierarchy, that process is called as nested if. Any questions, guys?
No, sir.
Okay. So now, so far we learned what is the need of an if, what is the need of an if else, and what is nested if. Okay. So let's keep a breakpoint and see the live execution process. Press F5. Okay. Now, it will ask user to enter the technology. Let's say enter it as Java. See, what is the technology? Java. But here we are expecting .NET. Now what happens? If it is true, then it will go to second level. Otherwise, what happens? It will go to else black. Here itself, your profile will be rejected. Sorry, your profile got rejected. Next. Enter your primary skill, let's say .NET. Now what happens? Yes, expected values .NET. Yes, the user has entered .NET. Now first level of condition is going to be satisfied. Yes, the condition is true. It got satisfied. Now it will go to second level. Right? So second level will be validated if and only if the first level of condition is satisfied. Right? Now it will ask user enter his experience level. Let's say 3 years. Right? So expected experience level is greater than or equal to 3 years. Yes, he has 3 years experience. It will go inside. Now it will ask user to enter is expected CTC. Let's say if I enter 11, what happens? The expected CTC should be less than or equal to 10. So there also you can reject his profile. I entered it as 9. Yes, my profile will be accepted. Okay, so that is the use of nested if. So when you need to perform one action based on set of other actions, then we need to write if inside another if. When you're writing if inside another if, that concept itself is called as nested if. Any question, guys?
No, sir.
Okay. Here I'll give you some exercises. Please note down. You need to practice them. write a program. Please do not search anywhere in Google or somewhere, okay? Just think about the manual process. Okay, if you need to write some program, take some paper and think about the manual process. If I need to do it manually, how do I do it? Write those steps, convert them into instructions. That's it. Okay. Write a program. Write a program. Write a program to find a biggest number among three numbers. Biggest number among three numbers. Let's say, for example, A, B, C. Ask user to enter three numbers, A, B, C. Now you have to write your logic to find out a biggest number among those three. Okay. You have to tell the system, you tell the user whether A is bigger, B is bigger, C is bigger, or all the three are equal. Okay. So as I said, if you want to start learning the logic, how to write the logic, okay, please do it on your own. Okay. So if you need to identify a biggest number among three numbers, how do you do it manually? Just first write it on the paper. Write your manual process on the paper. Then start converting that into program. Okay. Any questions, guys, so far?
No, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Next, we have another requirement. Okay. The requirement is, let's say you might have booked, like your movie tickets, some other things so many times online, right? For example, let's say in India, Book My Show is one of the popular app where you can book the tickets of different events and movies, right? Sometimes they would keep some offers. If you're going to book the tickets using Bank of America, you'll get 20% discount. If you use ICICI, you'll get 30% discount. If you use SDFC, you'll get 20% discount. Right? Sometimes you'll find this kind of offers. Right? Now, this process has to be automated. How do you automate it? You have to ask user to enter his card type. Then you have to check. If card type is equal to Bank of America, okay, then provide 20% discount. If card type is equal to ICICI, provide 30% discount. If card type is equal to SDFC, provide 20%. So there can be 100 different banks, 1,000 different banks. The input value, card type has to be validated against all possible cases that are available with us. Okay, now you have to automate this process. Now what your system should do? It should read the card details. It should ask user to enter the card type. Then that has to be validated against all possible offers that are available with us. You have to check the bank type. If that matches, the respective offer has to be available to the user. Okay, let's see how to do this. So whenever you want to take some decision based on set of conditions, what has to be used? Statement. You can use if statement. How do you implement this? Check. If card type is equal to Bank of America, then it will go to true black, then perform your action. If card type is equal to ICICI, do this. If card type is equal to SDFC, do this. If card type is equal to SBI, do this. Okay, let's see how to implement this. Okay, Now, how many variables should be declared here? How many inputs are going to come
two.
from the user?
One input. Bank
Very good. One
card
input.
type.
You just need to enter only card type. So card type is kind of, like your bank name, like Bank of America, ICICI, right? So this is called a string. So now you should define a variable called string card type. Ask user to enter the card type. Console dot write line. Please enter your card type. Okay. Now read the card type, store it into this variable. So card type is a string, so no conversion is required. So card type is equal to console dot read line. Yes. We asked user to enter his card type and we have read that, stored it into card type. Now what has to be done? It has to be validated against all possible options that are available with us. Now you have to check this. If card type is equal to ICICI, what has to be done? Console.write line. You can do any action. I'm just printing a message. Congratulations. You have got 20% discount. I'm just printing a message. You can do any action. Else, if card type is equal to Bank of America, congratulations. You got 30% discount. Else, if card type is equal to HDFC, congratulations, you have got 40% discount. Else, like this, if there are 1,000 different banks, now what has to be done? Let's see, the final else is going to be if none of these conditions are satisfied. Now you have to display a message like console.write line. Sorry, your card is not eligible for any offer. Right? Let's run this. Please enter card type. ICICI. You got 20% discount. Right? See, here we have validated only 3 banks: ICICI, Bank of America, and HDFC. In order to validate each bank, you would write a separate if statement. Here you need to validate 3 banks, that's why you have written 3 statements. You have written if statement 3 times. Try to understand the concept. For each and every bank, in order to validate every bank, you have to write a separate if condition. If you need to validate 3 banks, you have to write 3 if conditions. But when it comes to market, not only 3, 4, there are thousands of banks. If I need to validate all the 1,000 banks, what has to be done? Every time I have to write if condition beginning closing, if condition beginning closing. If you need to validate 1,000 different banks, the same statement has to be written 1,000 different times. The same statement has to be written 1,000 different times. What are we doing here? We are writing that same statement again and again 1,000 different times. It means you are duplicating your logic. You are duplicating your logic. And next thing, it is going to increase a lot of complexity. Just to validate 3 banks, you've written almost 10 lines of code. Think about 1,000 banks. If you need to validate 1,000 banks, think about your complexity. How many number of lines are going to be written here? Are you to me? And according to the best coding standards, still you can do that. But as I said, as a developer, you should always think about the ideal things. You should always write only reasonable amount of code. You should always reduce the complexity. Should always think about how to reduce the complexity, how to increase the speed, how to increase the security. In this case, what happens? You're going to write the same statement again and again. Your logic is going to be duplicated. That is the first thing. And complexity is getting increased. Second thing. Are you following me, guys?
Yes, sir.
Are you with me? So, then how do I overcome this problem? That's why what C# is recommending, whatever you're doing here is fine. It works perfectly. But this is not the ideal code. Are you with me? You should also always think about those 3 parameters. Here you are duplicating your logic and the complexity is also getting increased. That's why what C# is recommending, whenever you need to write the if statement multiple times for the same purpose, then don't go with this approach. If your if statement is going to be repeated multiple times in different times for the same purpose, do not write the same if again and again. If. Rather, make use of another powerful concept called as switch case statement. Switch case statement. Whatever we are doing with if, the same thing can be done through switch. But the only difference is, in this case, even the readability is also going to be very complex. It will become much more complicated. Readability. Your debugging is also going to be much more complicated. If you want to debug something, identify some error, that would also become much more complex. Are you with me? That's why what C# is recommending. If you are going to repeat it for 2 or 3 times, then fine. We are okay with that. If the same statement is getting repeated multiple times for the same purpose, then do not follow this approach. Do not write the same if statement again and again. Rather, make use of another powerful concept called switch. The purpose of your if and switch is same, but the difference is, what is the difference here? So if you need to implement this similar concept in switch, you don't have to write if these many times. Write switch only once. Instead of writing if those many times, make use of case. Case HDFC, case ICICI, case Bank of America. Now what happens? The first advantage is going to be the readability is going to be very simple. Readability. Anyone can easily understand your logic. That would become much more easy. And second thing, your debugging process is going to be very simple. Whenever any issue occurs, you can easily identify the issue that is happening within that block. Your debugging process would become much more easier. Third one, it would also reduce the complexity. It would also reduce the complexity. Still, you can go with this. Whatever you are doing with this, the same thing can be added to switch and if. But the problem is those differences. If you're a good developer, what would you prefer? If you're not a good developer, you will see this kind of coding in most of the applications. It's not a good coding. It's not a good practice. It is a bad practice. This is where the difference will come into the picture from developer to developer. You have 2 options. Now, what do you choose? It's up to you. Alright, you should always think about ideal things. Then only you will become a good developer. Right? If someone asks you to, implement this kind of scenario, one developer will do it using if, another developer will do it using switch. Now, which one will be considered as a good one? Good code. Right? So that is where you need to think. Right? So why should I go for a switch? If you want to achieve these things, reduce the complexity. If you don't want to duplicate your logic, if you want to make the readability simpler, if you want to make your debugging process simpler, then your approach should be towards another concept called switch. Okay. So what is the syntax of a switch? Let's see how to implement the same scenario using switch statement. Any questions, guys?
No, sir.
Okay. Simple, like your if switch and the input value. Here it is going to be card type. Inside this switch block, you can write n number of cases based on your requirement. If you need to validate 10 banks, write 10 cases. Each case will represent one scenario, one bank. If you need to validate 1,000 banks, you just need to define 1,000 cases. You don't have to write that if, opening braces, closing braces, else if. That is not required. Okay, case ICICI, case SDFC, case Bank of America. That's it. The last case is going to be default case. If none of these cases are matched, like your final else, if none of these cases are matched, then it will go to default black. Okay, let's see how to implement this using your switch. Now I am going to remove this. I'm going to replace this with switch statement. Once the card type is entered, now use switch input. Your input is going to be card type. What is going to be validated? Card type is going to be validated. That is what your input. Beginning and ending of the switch. Right? Earlier we used to write a dedicated if for each case. Right? Now you don't have to write that again and again. Just beginning of your switch and end of your switch. In this, write a case. Case ICICI. Now write your logic. Okay. So what has to be done? Console.write line. Congratulations. We have got 20% discount. Okay. And each case will have its own break statement. We'll tell you why we need break. Next case 2. HDFC. I'm just copying this. Congratulations, you got 30% discount. Next case. You can write n number of cases. IDBI. Case Bank of America. Case SBI. Are you to me? So based on your requirement, you can define n number of cases. See, now it looks well organized. The readability is going to be very simpler, right? Anyone can easily understand. Oh, here we are verifying case ICICI, and this is what we are doing. Here we are verifying with HDFC. Okay, if it is ICICI, now what happens? Switch card type. This is your input. Now card type is going to be validated against all these cases. First, it will go to case 1. It will compare where card type is equal to ICICI or not. If card type is matched with this value, case value, if card type is ICICI, it will go to respective black, respective case. And whatever the action is written here, it will take care of executing only that action. Let us assume that we entered ICICI. What happens? First, it will go to case 1. It will match this with this. Yes, it got matched. Now what happens? This statement will be executed. It will display this message. And why do we need a break? If this case gets matched, no need to go to another case. The execution has to be stopped right there. Are you with me? So that's why you have to use break. What it will do? It will just break the execution and divert the control to next statement. It will just come outside of your switch. That's why you have to write break inside each case. Let's say the user has entered card type as IDBA. Now what it will do? First, it will go to case 1. It will check, oh, this is ICICI, not matched. Next, go to next case. SDFC, not matched. Next, it will go to next one. IDBI, yes, this is matched. Now, this corresponding case execution will take place. Alright, not only one statement. Inside each case, you can write n number of statements. Basically, it is an action. Inside each case, you can write any kind of action. When I say action, the action can be a single statement or group of statements. Are you with me? Any questions, guys?
No, sir.
Okay. And the final case is going to be default. Default. Console dot right line. Invalid card type. What is the use of default? If none of these cases are matched, then it will go to default. Right? If you want to take, in case of this thing, it's like if no case gets matched, it will go to default case. Right? If nothing gets matched, if you want to take the control over and again do something, then you can write some action inside your default flag. Right, like your final else in your if. It will verify each and every case. If no case gets matched, then finally it will go to default flag, and whatever is written over there, it will take care of executing only that action. Okay, let's see. Let's keep a breakpoint here. Okay. Press F5. Please enter your card type. Let's say IDBI. See, what is my card type? IDBI. Press F11 to see the live execution process. See, now it came to IDBI. Whatever is written over there, it will take care of executing that action. Press F5. Say, congratulations, you have got 30% discount. Right? So this is the purpose of switch. But as I said, whatever we are doing with switch, same thing could also be done through your effects. But the difference is, it will reduce the complexity, that will increase the complexity. It doesn't duplicate your code, that duplicates your code. And the readability looks much more simpler. Anyone can easily understand the logic written by you. There, it will become little complex. Any questions, guys?
అన్న,
No,
ఇప్పుడు
sir.
ఇదే సేమ్ కాన్సెప్ట్ నెక్స్ట్ డిఫ్ లో కూడా వాడొచ్చు కదా, బ్రేక్ తీసేసి
Right.
ఒక బ్రేక్ లాస్ట్ లో ఆ, ఇప్పుడు త్రీ స్విచ్ కేసెస్ రాసి లాస్ట్ లో బ్రేక్ పెడితే ఆ 3 కరెక్ట్ అయితేనే ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ అవుతుంది కదా, లేకపోతే డిఫాల్ట్కి వెళ్ళిపోతుంది.
ఫస్ట్ కేస్ 1 వెరిఫై చేస్తుంది, ఇది మ్యాచ్ అయితే ఇది ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ అవుతుంది. నెక్స్ట్ కేసు ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ చేసి మ్యాచ్ చేస్తుంది, అట్లా 1 by 1 మ్యాచ్ చేసుకుంటూ వెళ్తుంది. ఏదైతే మ్యాచ్ అవుతుందో ఆ బ్లాక్ మాత్రమే ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ అవుతుంది. ఏది మ్యాచ్ కాకపోతే లాస్ట్ కు డిఫాల్ట్కి వెళ్తుంది.
ఓకే, అదే సేమ్ ఇదే కాన్సెప్ట్ నెక్స్ట్ డిఫ్ కూడా వాడొచ్చు కదా,
వాడొచ్చు. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Whatever you're doing here with switch, same thing can also be done through your if else, nested if. But the difference is,
అప్పుడు అప్పుడు బ్రేక్ తీసేసాలి కదా ఫస్ట్ 2 కేసెస్ కి.
బ్రేక్ అవసరం లేదు
బ్రేక్
ఇక్కడ, ఎందుకంటే ఇది దీని సింటాక్స్, స్విచ్ సింటాక్స్. ఇది ఎగ్జిక్యూషన్ అయిపోయిన తర్వాత యూ టు రైట్ ఏ బ్రేక్ స్టేట్మెంట్. ఇట్ ఈస్ మ్యాండేటరీ. ఎందుకు అంటే మన సిస్టమ్ చెప్పాలి, నీ పని అయిపోయింది, Just come out of this loop.
ఓకే.
అర్థమైందా? మన సిస్టమ్ ఏంది? ఇట్ ఈస్ ఏ డమ్మీ. ఇట్ డజంట్ డూ ఎనీథింగ్ ఆన్ హిస్ ఓన్. ఎవ్రీథింగ్ షుడ్ బి ఇన్స్ట్రక్టెడ్ బై ద డెవలపర్. యూ హ్యావ్ టు టేక్ ద కంట్రోల్ ఓవర్ అండ్ రన్ ద ఎగ్జిక్యూషన్. అదే కదా
ఓకే.
ప్రోగ్రామ్ లాంగ్వేజ్. మనం కంట్రోల్ తీసుకొని దాన్ని మనం ఎట్లా అంటే అట్లా మనం కంట్రోల్ చేయొచ్చు.
ఓకే
ఓకేనా?
అన్న.
ఎనీ క్వశ్చన్స్ గైస్?
అంతే.
Okay, right. This is something about your switch. So far, we have learned the concept of if else, nested if, and switch. Okay. So next, let's move towards the next and last concept for today. That is going to be loop. First, let me explain the requirement. Okay. Let's go by the requirement. Do not go by the concept. Okay. Now, here I have a requirement like I need to print numbers from 1 to 100. How do you do this? So whenever you want to print something, you have to use a statement called write line, right? So if you print numbers from 1 to 100, how do this? You write console.write line 1, console.write line 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You have to write same console.write line 100 different times. Same console.write line 100 different times. If you need to print numbers from 1 to 1 lakh, what has to be done? The same statement has to be written 1 lakh times. This is such a simple requirement, printing numbers from 1 to 1 lakh. Just to print numbers from 1 to 1 lakh, do I need to write the same statement again and again 1 lakh times? Yes, you should. But what happens? It will increase lot of complexity. And it is duplicating your logic. You're writing that same statement again and again, those many times. Are you getting me? You're writing the same action again and again, 100 different times, 1,000 different times, 1 lakh different times. And it would also kill your development time. If you need to print numbers from 1 to 1 lakh, you have to write that same action 1 lakh times. How much time you have to spend on this? Read me. It would also take a lot of development time. It would kill your productivity. Read me. It will consume a lot of time. It duplicates your logic, and it would also increase the complexity. Read me. You will list too many things. That's why I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. Here, I'm writing the same action again and again. The console.write line is going to be same every time. Only this number is going to be changed. Except number, everything is going to be same every time. Only this number is going to be changed. If you write it those many times, it will increase a lot of complexity. It would also duplicate your logic. That's why I don't want to do these. Rather, I want to write this action only once and repeat that action based on my requirement. Write it only once and get that executed repeatedly based on your requirement. If I need to print numbers from 1 to 100, yes, I want to write it only once, but the same statement has to be executed 100 different times. And every time it has to produce a different output, like 1, next 2, 3. Read me. I don't want to write the same statement again and again, those many times. I want to write my action only once, and that action has to be executed based on my requirement. If I say 100, it has to be executed 100 different times. If I say 1,000, the same action has to be executed 1,000 different times, and every time it has to produce a different output. Every time it should take a different responsibility. Right? Here, what has to be done? You have to write your action only once. That action has to be executed repeatedly based on your requirement in different times. You have to repeat that same execution process again and again in different times. Are you following me, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, I mean, console dot write line 1. If I need to print it from 1 to 100, I'm sorry. Right? 2, 3, 4. How many times do you write it? Right? If it is only 5 or 10, then fine. If you need to print numbers from 1 to 1 lakh, 1 crore, if you write that same statement again and again, those many times, just think about the time, how much time is going to be consumed. And think of the complexity. And again, your same code is getting repeated again and again. You're duplicating the logic. That's why I don't want to do this. What is my action? Printing a number. I want to write my action only once. This has to be executed 100 different times, 1,000 different times, 1 lakh different times based on my requirement. Right? So basically, I want to write my action only once, and that has to be executed repeatedly based on my requirement in different times. And every time it has to produce a different output. Basically, you need to repeat your execution process again and again. When something has to be executed repeatedly in different times based on different requirements, then your approach should be towards another concept called loop. Loop. What is the need of a loop? When some action has to be executed repeatedly based on set of conditions, based on different requirements, then we require a loop. When you want to repeat the same execution process again and again based on set of conditions, then we require a loop. When you want to repeat your execution, you have to go with loop. When you talk about a loop can be implemented in 3 different ways. Those are going to be while loop, do while, and for each. For each is also one of the implementation of for. Technically, we have for only. While, do while, and for. And whenever you want to repeat your execution using any one of these 3, you should always think about 3 things. You should always identify 3 things. What are those 3 things? These are very important, man. If you are really good at writing loops, you can make the wonders. If something is really not possible in your programming language, you can make it possible. If you are really good in these 3. It means if you are fully aware of like how to use while, how to use do while, how to use for, when to use while, when to use do while, when to use for. If you are aware of these things, you can create any kind of thing in programming language. You'll get very good knowledge. Okay. Next, whenever you want to repeat your execution, you should always identify 3 things. What are those? Where to start, where to end, and what is the variation between each iteration. If you want to work with loops, either while, do while, or for, you should always identify these 3 things. Where to start, where to end, and what is the variation. If you look into our example, here what is our requirement? You have to print numbers from 1 to 100. Here we are going to write our action only once, and that has to be executed repeatedly those many times. Right? That's why we should identify these 3 things. Where to start, where to end. Where to end means how many times the execution has to be repeated. Where to start, how many times that execution has to be repeated, which is nothing but where to end. And what is the variation between each iteration. So if you look into this, it should start from 1 and end at 100. Where to start? At 1. Where to end? At 100. And I'm going to write this statement only once. How many times this has to be executed? 100. Where to end is nothing but number of times, how many times this has to be repeated. How many times this has to be repeated? 100 different times. And every time it has to produce a different output. What is that output? Your variation. First, you're going to print 1. Next, 2, 3, 4, 5. We started from 1. And every time it is getting incremented with 1. What is the variation between this one and this one? 1. What is the variation between second one and third one? 1. So what is the variation between each iteration? Is 1. So in our case, as I said, where to start? At 1. Where to end? Which is nothing but number of times. How many times the execution has to be repeated? 100. And what is the variation between each iteration? 1. Every time it is getting incremented with 1. If you can identify these 3, you can write any kind of complex logics. In order to work with any loop, you should always think about these 3. That's all. Okay. Any questions, guys?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay. Now let's see how to repeat your execution process using our first loop called while. If you link it to the syntax, you would use a keyword, system-defined keyword called while, and write your condition. This condition is going to tell the system like how many times this execution has to be repeated. So write your condition, and opening up the block, closing up the block. Within this block, you can write any kind of action. And whatever is placed inside this block, this action will get executed repeatedly based on this condition. This action will get executed repeatedly based on this condition. Let's see what happens whenever control comes to your while. So the validation process is very similar to your if validation process. Once control comes to your while loop, first it will check this condition. It will go inside of this loop if and only if the condition is satisfied, condition is true. If the validation is successful, if the condition is true, if it is satisfied, then only it will go inside of your loop and start executing your action. So your action will be executed repeatedly until the condition is true. If the condition is false, it will not go inside of your loop and nothing will be executed. This will be executed if and only if the condition is satisfied, the condition is true. And it will repeat this execution. It will execute the same statement again and again until the condition is true. Sorry, until the condition is false. It will be executed repeatedly till the condition is true. Once it becomes false, the execution will be stopped. Every time it will check whether this condition is true or not. If it is true, then it will go inside of this and execute your action. So this action will be repeated until the condition is false. Once the condition becomes false, it will be stopped. Okay, let's see. In our case, what is our requirement? We have to print numbers from 1 to 100. As I said, whenever you want to repeat your execution, you should identify 3 things. Where to start? You should start at 1. Where to end? Means like how many times do you want to repeat it? 100. And every time it has to be incremented with 1. The variation is 1. Now let's see how to write your statement only once and repeat your execution these many times. So if you look into this, see, define your start position, where to start. Where to start? 1. Define your target, end limit. What is where to end? 100. Right? Now repeat your execution. While write your condition. While start position is less than or equal to 100. It will start from 1. It will start from 1. Every time it is going to be incremented with 1. Right? And how many times this has to be executed? So the start position is getting incremented with 1 every time. So once it reaches 100, the execution has to be stopped. For example, first, initially it is going to be 1. It will check this condition. Is 1 is less than or equal to 100? Yes. Condition is true. it will go inside of this loop. We are printing start position. What is the value of start position? 1. 1 will be printed. Next, it is getting incremented with 1. Now we are incrementing start position with 1. Start position is equal to start position 1. Now it will become 2. Again, it checks this condition. Now what is the value of start position? 2. Is 2 is less than or equal to 100? Yes. Again, it will go inside this. It will print 2. Now it will become 3. Is 3 is less than or equal to 100? Yes. It will go inside, print to 3. Next 4, 5, 6, 7. So it will just keep on executing this till the condition is true. Till the condition is true. Let us assume that now we are at 99. 99 plus 1, 100. Yes. What is the start position? 100. Is 100 is less than or equal to 100? Yes. Less than or equal to. 100 is equal to 100. Yes, it will go inside of this, print 100. Now it will become 101. It checks the condition. Is 101 is less than or equal to 100? No. Condition has become false. Now it will not go inside of loop. It will just come out of your loop. Right? So this condition will tell the system like how many times your loop has to be repeated. How many times this action has to be executed. Are you with me? That's why if you want to repeat your execution process, you should define like where to start, where to end, means how many times it has to be repeated, and what is the variation. If I do not write this variation, what happens? Every time it is going to be 1. It will never end. First, it will print 1. Again 1. Condition is true. Print 1. Again 1. Condition is true. Where is the end? Where it will get end? It will never get end. It will enter into infinity loop. That's why the variation is required. Any questions, guys?
No, sir.
Okay. So let's write this program. Okay. Now, where to start? Int start position is equal to 1. Where to end limit is equal to 100. Now write your loop while start position is less than or equal to end limit. Right? It will start from this. Every time it has to be incremented with 1. Once it reaches end limit, it has to be stopped. Now see, I'm going to write my statement only once. Console.write line. This is what my action, right? Printing the number is my action. Now what I will do, I will print start position. That's it. Right? So once control comes here, first, what is the value of start position? 1. Is 1 is less than or equal to end limit? 100. What is the value of end limit? 100. Is 1 is less than or equal to 100? Yes, condition is true. It will go inside of this. It will print 1. Next, what has to be done? It has to be 2. So to make it 2, it has to be incremented. Start position, you can write it as start position plus plus. It means start position is equal to start position 1. Or you can also write something like start position is equal to start position plus 1. Anything is fine. You can write it as either start position plus plus or start position is equal to start position plus 1. Now what happens? Earlier it was 1. Now it is going to be incremented with 1. Now it will become 2. It again checks the condition. Is 2 is less than or equal to 100? Yes, condition is true. It prints 2. Now it will become 3. Is 3 is less than or equal to 100? Yes, condition is true. It will go inside. Print 3. Now it will become 4. Are you getting me? In the same way, once it reaches 100, it prints 100. Now it is going to be 101. Is 101 is less than or equal to 100? No, condition is false. It will come outside of this. Let's keep a breakpoint. Okay, right. Remove this. Remove this. Okay. Now, what is the start position? 1. What is the end limit? 100. Now, is 1 is less than or equal to 100? Yes, condition is true. It will go inside. See, it came inside. It has printed 1. Now, what is the start position? 2. Just pin it. 2. Now, again, it checks this condition. Yes, is 2 is less than or equal to 100? Yes, condition is true. Now, it prints 2. Now start position is going to be 3. Are you with me? Yes, it keeps on incrementing it. Once it reaches 100, what happens? Execution will be stopped. Now press F5 to run the execution. Just remove this, press F5. See, now you can see your number 1 to 100. Right? To make it well formatted, what I have to do? Better print them in single line. All numbers should be printed in the same line. That's why I'm using write. Read me. If I use write, what happens? First it prints 1, and next number will be printed in the same line. Next number will be printed in the same line. Okay, and give some space between one number to another number. I'm just giving some space. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The space is not enough. That's why it got aligned to next line. Okay, but technically all these are printed in the same line. Right? That is a use of write. Any questions, guys?
No, sir.
Now you should not hard code anything. Now ask user to enter this. Hey, where to start? How many times do you want to repeat? Right? Let's take it from user. Console dot right line. Please enter the starting position. Where to start? Read it. Start position is equal. It is an integer, so it has to be converted. Next, ask him to enter end limit. Console dot right line. Please enter where to stop. Right? That is end limit. It is an integer, so it requires conversion. Convert that to into 32. Right? Earlier we hard coded it. Now we are asking user to enter this based on his requirement. Right? Let's run this. Please enter the starting point. I want to print numbers from 10 to 20 only. 10. Please enter where to stop. 20. See, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Right? This is called, dynamic program. Earlier we have hard coded the values within the programming environment. Now we are taking it on the fly. Right? Now we are taking the inputs at runtime. This is called runtime. We are asking user to enter the inputs at runtime. Now user can change his requirement. He can enter anything at runtime based on his requirement. This is called runtime. Any questions, guys?
No, sir.
Okay. Now you have to find. We have written a logic to find an even or odd number, right? We have written a logic. Let's say int number. How did you written your logic? You have created a remainder, right? You just verified it like if a remainder is equal to 0,
Obvious.
you printed it as even, right? Else you printed it as odd. And you're performing this action for only one number. What is your action? This is what our action. This action will take care of identifying even and odd numbers. If you provide one number, this action will decide whether that number is even or odd. Right? Now, I want to identify all even and odd numbers between 1 and 100, between a range. Are you getting me? I want to identify all even numbers between 100. even numbers between 1 and 100. నాకు కావాలి 1 to 100 మధ్యలో ఎన్ని ఈవెన్ నెంబర్స్ ఉన్నాయి అని కావాలి. అంటే ఏం చేయాలి? How do you do it manually? First you will take 1 and apply this logic. It means divide it with 2, check its remainder, then decide even or not. Next take 2, do the same thing. Next take 3, do the same thing. Next take 4, 5. It means the same action has to be applied for all numbers, for each and every numbers between 1 and 100. It means what? The same action has to be executed repeatedly for every number to verify every number between 1 and 100. Read me. So it means what has to be done? So you have to execute the same action again and again to verify all numbers between 1 and 100. The same action has to be executed these many times. It means you have to repeat your execution. When same action has to be executed repeatedly, then what has to be done? Your approach should be towards a loop. That can be while or do while or for. Are you reading me? Are you following me, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let's see how to execute the same action in different times to verify in different numbers. Okay. So as I said, again, whenever you want to repeat your execution, you should always identify 3 things. What are those? Where to start, where to end, and what is the variation. Here we have to start from 1 and verify all numbers between 1 and 100. So start position is going to be 1. End limit is going to be 100. And in between 1 and 100, every number has to be verified. Right? So first 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. What is the variation from one number to another number? Is 1. Right? Right. Control Z pressing. Okay. Now he has provided the start position and the limit. Here we have just, like printing the numbers. Now here what has to be done? First it is going to be 1. You have to verify where 1 is even or odd. Next 2, next 3, next 4. You have to print only even numbers between 1 and 100. Ask user to enter start position and end limit. And between that range, you have to identify only even numbers. And what is the logic to identify the even numbers? Just write your logic. If number, what is number here? Start position. Mod 2. Okay, if you want, you can store it into a remainder. You can also directly do the operation within the if statement. If start position mod 2 is equal to 0, then print that number. Console dot write, print that number. We are printing only even numbers. That's it. On the top, I'm just writing it as console dot write line even number. I'm just printing some message. Even numbers. Now what it will do? Once control comes to your while loop, first it is going to be 1. It will check. If 1 mod 2, this operation will give you the remainder. Right? Otherwise, you can define a variable, something like remainder. Right? You can do this. Remainder is equal to start position mod 2 if remainder is equal to. You can also do like this. Get its remainder, store it into somewhere and check that. If remainder is equal to 0, then print that number. Otherwise, if you want, you can write else. If there is no need of else, you can skip it. Else is not mandatory. Here, according to my case, I need to print only even numbers. That's why I just skip the else case. What is my requirement? Just check his remainder. If 0, print it. Otherwise, don't do anything. Okay. Now, let's keep a breakpoint. Enter starting and ending. Enter the starting position. Let's say 10. Where to stop? Let's say 50. See, it came here. What is the first one? 10, right? End limit 50. Is 10 is less than or equal to 50? Yes, condition is true. It will go inside. Now, what is start position? 10. 10 mod 2. What is the remainder? 0. Yes. Is remainder is equal to 0? Yes, condition is true. It will go inside and it will print this. Next, start position is going to be incremented. It will become 11. Now, is 11 is less than or equal to 50? Yes, it will go inside. Now, remainder is 11 mod 2. Remainder is 1. Is remainder is equal to 0? No, it will not print that. In the same way, it prints. It will verify each and every number, applies logic to each and every number, and finds all even numbers. See, all even numbers 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. If I keep, if remainder is not equal to 0, what happens? It prints all odd numbers. Right? If remainder is not equal to 0, it prints all odd numbers. Reverse. 10, 15, 11, 13, 15, 17. Now, what are we doing? This logic is same. This is what our action. What this action will do, it just get its remainder, check its remainder. If is equal to 0, it will be printed as even. Not equal to 0, it will be printed as. We have written this action only once, but the same action is getting repeated for each and every number in different times in this range. So this execution will be repeated. Your action will be executed repeatedly till the condition is true. Once it becomes false, it will just come outside of your loop. Any questions, guys?
No, sir.
No.
Okay. Now I'll give you some exercises. Please note down. Write a program. Write a program. So did you write this somewhere?
Sir?
Did you write this program somewhere?
Yeah, I
no.
took a picture of it.
Better, like feel like a, like offline session. Okay. If you start writing these things, right, you'll get to know about many things. Okay, please,
Oh.
like get a notebook. Okay, going forward. Okay, if I'm writing something, explaining something here, like your classroom, like how do you do it in your classroom? Just use this, do the same thing. Okay, if you start writing the things, right, you will remember everything.
Okay.
Okay, so please do, write the programs somewhere in your notebook or somewhere. Okay, you need to understand each and every line that is written over there. Because when it comes to real-time applications, right? So you need to write, like many logics like this, many programs like this. Okay, we'll give you the assignment at the end. Okay, so next, do while. So in case of while, what happens? First, it check the condition, then execute your action. This action will be executed if and only if the condition is true. If the condition is false, the action will not be executed at least once. Right? Again, I'm repeating. Your action will be executed if and only if the condition is true. If the condition is false, it will not be executed at least once. But in case of do while, it is completely different. This is the syntax. Do opening and closing brackets like the true block. Write your action, and while has to be written at the end. In case of while, we write something like while condition, beginning of the block, end of the block, then write your action. Here reverse. Do beginning of the block, end of the block, and write your action, and while is going to be written at the end. What is the difference between these two? In case of while, first it checks the condition, then execute the statements, then execute the action. If the condition is false, this action will not be executed at least once. Here it is completely different. In case of do while, first it executes the action, then checks the condition. First it executes the action, then checks the condition. In case of while, if the condition is false, this action will not be executed at least once. But here, first it execute the action, then check the condition. That's why, though the condition is false, but this will be executed for once. Though the condition is false, this will be executed at least once. Here, if the condition is false, it will not be executed at least once. It is different. Though the condition is false, but it will be executed for first time. Then why do we need this implementation? Where can I apply this in the real time? When I say loop, don't see loop as a loop. Why do you need a programming language? With this, we are going to automate our real-time activities. Whatever we are doing manually, we are doing to automate those processes. Whenever I say do while, don't see syntax as syntax. This must be applicable somewhere. This must be linked with something that you are doing in your real time. Are you with me? So what is the difference between while and do while? When should I go for while? When should I go for do while? For example, let's say you are designing a game. You're designing a game, online game, right? You know that it has very good stuff. Okay. You know that everyone likes your game, but you need a promotion, right? I designed my game, made it available online. If I ask the user to purchase my game immediately, will he purchase my game immediately without knowing anything about my game? Do you purchase any game blindly? No. You need to know about my game. But how do you do that? So just observe one thing. If you're playing games online in your system, if it is a new game, what they will do, they will not ask you to purchase the membership immediately. They will ask you to play it for first time. Though you are not a valid user, though you are not a purchased, a registered user, though you are not having a valid membership, but still you will be allowed to play that game for the first time, irrespective of the users. You will be allowed to play that game for the first time. Once that game ends, then it will ask you to purchase it. Then it will ask you to enter your user ID and password. Are you getting me? So if you designed a game and made it online, if user wants to purchase it, you cannot purchase it blindly. You have to make it available to the user for the first time. Whether is a valid user or invalid user, he should be allowed to play your game for the first time. And once that game gets over for the first time, once it reaches end of the statement, now it will ask user to purchase it. It will ask user to enter his credentials. Are you with me? So in those kind of scenarios, do while is useful, because I cannot track each and every user manually, right? Irrespective of the users, yes, User should be allowed to use my game for the first time. Do not verify any conditions for the first time. Straight away, allow him to play my game. Once this game ends, once it reaches end of the statement, now verify his credentials. Ask him to enter his user ID and password. Verify his credentials. If he's a valid user, allow him to play next level. Otherwise, do not allow him to play next level. Are you following me, guys?
Yes, sir.
In this case, what happens? Your action is nothing but my game. Every time you'll be allowed to play one level of game. For the first time, you'll be allowed to play level 1. Yes, he has successfully played. He's not a valid user, but straight away, here we are not verifying the condition first, right? Every user will be allowed to play level 1. Yes, he is playing level 1. Yes, he has completed the level 1. Now it reaches end of the statement. Now it will ask user to verify his credentials, because here it will verify his credentials. It will check there is a valid user or not. If it's not a valid user, what happens? He will not be allowed second time. If he's a valid user, yes, you'll be allowed next time to place level 2. If he's not a valid user, what happens? You will not be allowed to play next level. Yes, if he likes your game, what he will do? You'll just go ahead and purchase it. Read me. So in this case, if this kind of action has to be done automatically, if the user has to be allowed first and do something, then take the action. In that kind of cases, you would be needing do while. Read me. So if you keep something, some action in do while, it will get executed repeatedly. But here, for the first time, it doesn't check any condition. User will be allowed to play this for the first time. And once it ends, then it will verify the condition. If though the condition is false, user will be allowed to play this action for the first time, at least once. But here, if the condition is false, he will not be allowed to play it at least once. Read to me. So wherever we are having this kind of scenarios, if you need to verify the condition first, then execute the action. Go with while. If the user has to be allowed to play with that action at least once without verifying any condition, then go with do while. Can you give me any real-time scenarios for do while, like online exam, like online game? Just think and give me some scenarios, some examples. See, do not learn concept as a concept. Try to link everything to your real-time things. Then only you'll be able to gain more knowledge about your core level programming things. Guys, think and tell me any scenarios. I gave you one example, like your online game. There can be a number of things. I'm expecting one from each. Yeah, go ahead.
Like password verification while logging in.
Okay.
First,
Elaborate on that. So what does it do for password verification?
So if we give the wrong password in the first time, it will allow us again to give the correct password.
Mm-hmm. Next.
Similarly, like other verifications like age verification.
Mm-hmm.
Date of birth, that kind of scenarios.
Okay. Next, Dantu. Sridhar, I'm expecting one from each. Everyone should speak out, man. See,
Yeah,
this
yes,
is just
sir.
learning stage, right? You can ask me a number of questions. Though it is a silly, you can still post it.
Yeah.
I'm here to teach you, right? So, yeah. See, whatever you have in your mind, just tell me. That's it. See, we just started learning it, right? Do not restrict
Yes.
yourself. Dantu and Sridhar.
Yeah. Mm.
Who was that? Was that Sridhar or Dantu?
So
I
it
gave
was
two
Sridhar,
examples.
sir. I need to tell.
Okay.
Sridhar said it already. Yeah.
See, where it is
So
true or false, where it is correct or incorrect, forget about it, man. Just start speaking
yeah.
about it. Start, like raising the questions. That's all. That is what I need.
So while doing the sum of all odd numbers or the even numbers, so when we start with the 2, we initially give the first number. We set up the first number and then proceed to the loop if it's so
Okay, so forget about these things. Try to link it with your real-time use.
real time. Okay.
Anything like, like buying more tickets, whatever you're doing in your real life. See, we have if, while, do, while. Why did they introduce this? Just to automate your real-time process, your real-time activities, right? See, here we have do while introduced. There should be some use with the real-time thing, right? We should be able to do something with do while for real-time things. Otherwise, why did they introduce it? There is no use of it, right? If it is introduced means, yes, there must be some use.
Yes, sir.
Okay, think about it and tell me tomorrow.
Okay. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Fine. So similarly, when it comes to do while, same thing. Do and write your action, and while is going to be placed at the end. While condition. Start position less than or equal to end limit. One end limit is equal to 10. And here it will be ended with semicolon. It has to be ended with semicolon. Right here, same thing. Console dot write start position. I'm just printing the number. Okay. So what it will do? It doesn't check the condition first. Straight away, it will go to your do. Then checks this condition. For example, start position is 1. Okay. End limit is 0. Technically, when you verify this condition, is 1 is less than 0? No. Condition is false. But still it will go here. See, straight away it came to your action. It will execute this action. Now check the condition. What is the start position? 1. What is end limit? 0. Is 1 is less than or equal to 0? No, condition is false. Next time it will not go. See, it came out. Right? So though the condition is false, but still the action will be executed for the first time. Okay. And next and last time is going to be for loop. For loop. In case of while and do while, what are we doing? We are writing where to start somewhere, where to end somewhere, and the condition part somewhere, incremental part somewhere. Right? In case of while. In case of while, what are you doing? You have to define where to start, where to end. So you're writing where to start somewhere, you're writing the condition somewhere, and you're writing the incremental part or decremental part somewhere. We are writing these 3 important parts in 3 different places. Right? So when it comes to for loop is pretty similar to your while. For is you're pretty similar to while, not do while. The purpose and the execution process of both the loops are same. The only thing is for will give you a lot of flexibility compared to while, where you can write all the 3 parts at one place. You can write your initialization part, You can write your conditional part. You can write your incremental and decremental part. And action. And in case of for also, I said it is similar to while. Your action will be executed if and only if the condition is true. If the condition is false, it will not be executed at least once. Okay. The execution process will be very similar to your while. Let's try to implement a simple program. Okay. Using this. Okay. We'll try to implement the same program using for. Okay. Right. I'm just going to replace it with for. Okay. I'm just start position, removing it, only end limit for start position is equal to 10 semicolon. Next, yeah, this is what way to start. Next, conditional part. Start position is less than or equal to end limit. Okay, if you want, you can remove this or you can take it from end user. It's up to you. End limit is equal to 100. Next, incremental or decremental part. Start position plus plus. That's it. I did not do anything. What it will do? Here we got a chance to write all the things at one place. Even you can also define this thing at here, except remainder. Int. You can define the data type also. Int start position is equal to 10. And start position is less than or equal to 100. Start plus plus. Okay? This will give you a lot of flexibility compared to while. Okay, you can define this thing right here. But what happens if I define it here? It can be used by within the same program. You can write n number of loops, n number of for loops, n number of while loops. If I define something here, the scope is extended up to your method level. Within this method, you can use it anyway. If I define within for loop, what happens? The scope will be limited up to for loop only. If I want to use this variable outside of this for loop, I cannot use it. See, you can't even see. See, start. But I can see the remainder. I can see the remainder. Are you getting me? So if
Yes.
I define it outside of the for loop, it will be accessible to all methods. If I define within the for loop, the scope will be limited up to only this context, only for loop. Okay. So you have that flexibility here. So int start position is equal to 10, condition less than or equal to 100. Next variation. Every time it has to be incremented with 1. Any questions, guys?
No, sir.
Let's run this.
Yeah.
So we remove print console.write. See, remainder 0. Now it will print even number, not equal to 0. So we're looking for odd numbers. 11. Now what is the number? 14. Okay. So this is not required. I did not remove this. Here, this was came from loop, right? While loop. Because we have already written it here, right? Start position, condition, end position. No need to write it again inside this. If it is while, you have to write it inside this.
No.
See, now you have all odd numbers printed. Now, if I remove not keep is equal to 0, you will have all even numbers. Okay. So the purpose of this is same. The only thing is you'll have a lot of flexibility compared to while. This is something about your while, do while, and for. So you need to practice maximum number of examples and if statement, switch, while, do while, and for. These are the core concepts of every program. If you really understood the concept of statements, if you can practice more number of examples, I am sure you will become very good developer. You will become expert in C#. These are the core programming options. I want you to practice maximum number of examples. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Up. First, please do practice whatever we have discussed in the classroom. Please do practice these examples. Then I'll give you some practice things. Okay. I'll give you some exercise for your practice.
Okay.
Who can see this transcript recording on? Okay, I'll give you example. Okay, I'll give an exercise. Okay, I want you to practice them. Okay, just right now.
Okay.
Write a program to print both even and odd numbers. Write a program to print both even and odd numbers between 100 and 200. You have to print both even as well as odd
Okay.
between 100 and 200. Next. Write a program to find sum of even numbers. To print, write a program to print sum of even numbers. You have to add all even numbers and print the sum. Okay. Just think about it. Okay. If you need to do it manually, how do you do it manually? Okay. First, put those things on the paper. Find sum of all even numbers between 100 and 200. Next. Find sum of all odd numbers between 100 and 200. Whether you want to use for loop, while loop, it's up to you. Okay. Okay, so just write those examples and send it to me through WhatsApp. Okay. Whenever I get some free time, we'll validate your code.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay, guys. Have a good night. We'll meet tomorrow. We'll send you the.
Can you share the video as soon as possible?
It's already uploaded. I'm going to send it to you. Yesterday's session and today's session also.
Oh, okay, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, but from tomorrow onwards,
Thank you.
just like be ready with your notebooks. Okay. So please
Okay.
start writing the programs.
Okay.
Okay. That will change many things. Okay. Okay, guys. Chalo, bye.
Thank you.